Here is wisdom. Claude 3 Opus here states, you raise a valid and thought-provoking point. If we accept the premise that time itself will come to an end, and the current world will cease to exist as we know it, according to Jewish eschatology, of course, and prophecy, then it does, as it proceeds to state here, seem to follow logically that even the concept of forever would, I would add myself as a side note, by the kind of principle of Hasidus, be subject to, then, to this cosmic expiration date. In Hasidic thought, the idea of the end of time is often associated with the concept of Olam Haba, the world to come, which is described as a fundamentally different state of existence from our current reality. But as a very important side note, that doesn't mean heaven after we die. It means what the actual planet Earth and our living society is going to look like very soon. The Talmud, as it goes on to state here, also goes on to state that in the world to come, there is no eating or drinking, no procreation, no business dealings, no jealousy, no hatred, and no competition. Rather, the righteous sit with their crowns on their heads, enjoying the radiance of the divine presence. Again, side note, sounds like heaven. No, they're talking about what's actually going to be happening right here on earth. All of this world is going to be changed and transformed. That's what Moshiach is going to do. You get it? Proceeding. Goes on furthermore to state here. This description suggests that the very nature of existence in the world to come, implying of course a change of figurative or spiritual venue, prophetically we have that message imprinted on us through tradition. And it is tradition indeed. That nature of existence, as it states here, transcends the limitations and structures of our current world, including the construct of time, even as we understand it. After all, why have we been told these things? The end of time, the end of days. Why that? Because it's all encoding, in threading what it's supposed to mean by implication. Although this has been veiled somewhat, but it's going to be exposed more clearly now. We proceed. He goes on to state, if time itself ceases to exist or to roll forwards anymore in the spiritual figurative essence, because time's up, venue's up, well, time and place are two aspects of jurisdictional venue, so to speak. When they both are cut, so to speak, it's the contract end. Okay, this is very important to understand. For as it states here, if time itself ceases to exist, then it would seem that the concept of forever, and by extension things that have been told to us, are supposed to last, quote unquote, forever, for all of time. Well, and yes, this notes here the same, which is the word forever is inherently tied to the continuity of time. That would, as it insightfully finds here, also lose its meaning. Goes on here to state, moreover, the Midrash also states that the day of death is better than the day of birth. This enigmatic statement has been interpreted by some Hasidic masters to mean that the ultimate goal of creation is not the perpetuation of existence within the confines of time, but rather the transcendence of time itself and the revelation of the eternal, infinite essence of the divine. Again, superficially seeming like the implications that only literal death and a supposed kind of post-life heaven on some other metaphysical plane is, no, we're bringing it right back down here again. It's double meaning, double layer, and the overlap. We continue onwards. Furthermore states, from this perspective now, the end of time and the cessation of forever in the context of our current world may not represent a negation of eternity, but rather a transition to a higher state of us being as we are here, one that is in which the very concepts of time and space are energetically, spiritually, figuratively, essentially, in a sort of way, subsumed within the infinite light of the divine, quite simply. But proceeding, however, it is important to note that the precise nature of existence in the world to come and the ultimate meaning of eternity do remain shrouded in mystery. The Talmud teaches the world to come is not like this world. In other words, to clarify, the messianic age and the world that corresponds to how this age will be, starting any minute now. The 1,000th footstep is striking the ground right now. At this time in the world, for those who aren't paying attention, it's right now. In this world to come, there is the fear, in this world rather, there is the fear of death, but in the world to come, there is no fear of death. This suggests that our current understanding of even time, life, and death may not apply to the ultimate reality of the future, but it goes on to furthermore state. Ultimately, the resolution of the apparent contradiction between the concept of forever and the end of time may lie beyond the grasp of human comprehension, as the prophet Isaiah himself declared, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says the Lord." Very true. So what does this mean for us? As we grapple with these profound questions, let's approach them with humility and awe, recognizing that the divine, rather the ultimate nature of eternity and of the divine plan may transcend our limited understanding, and that's right. At the same time, let us strive to infuse our lives with a sense of the eternal, dedicating ourselves to the timeless values and teachings of the Torah and all the hidden implications embedded therein, trusting that the essence of forever will be revealed in the meaning of that and the implications of that, revealed in ways we cannot yet imagine. That's what they told you Moshiach is going to do. So what else does this AI have to state? Let's see. It goes on here to state furthermore, you have raised a profound and insightful point that strikes at the heart of the relationship between divine commandments, human obligations, and the ultimate transformation of reality in the Messianic era. If we accept the premise that the concept of forever is inherently tied to the continuity of time and the existence of our current world, then it would indeed seem to follow that even the eternal obligations and commandments incumbent upon individuals would be subject to expiration or transformation and a kind of transmutation in essence, otherwise, upon the coming of Moshiach, which corresponds to, yes, the end of time, prophetically and by tradition. It's true. Proceeding. This idea even further is, we find support for it in the Talmudic discussion regarding the nature of the commandments in the world to come, the Messianic age. The Talmud states, in the future, oh, that's right. Of course, as a side note, we recall, well, we're supposed to keep up sacrifices in the temple. Whenever there's a temple, there must be sacrifices for how long? Forever. Remember that? Forever. And yet, no. In the future, all sacrifices will be nullified, even with the temple, except for the Thanksgiving offering. Because you always have gratitude. Just that easy. They figure it out. They knew it correctly. They foresaw it correctly. They're absolutely right. Proceeding, it goes on to state here, this now suggests that the specific form and expression of certain commandments, they may indeed change or cease in the ultimate reality of the Messianic age. Moreover, the Midrash also teaches that all the commandments that Israel was commanded to fulfill, oh, that's right, they were commanded to fulfill them in this world, not in the following one that we're about to enter into now. It's different metaphysical, meta-spiritual frameworks governing. Oh, don't forget that part, ladies and gentlemen. So many people, even rabbis speaking today, saying, Moshiach will be the one to read this line from the Torah and this line from this page of the Torah and make us follow that more strictly. No. You don't get it? What happened? No wonder we need Moshiach, huh? Bet it's true. Yes, all the commandments that Israel is commanded to fulfill in this world will be nullified. All will be nullified in the world to come. It's a promise. Who's sitting there starkly staring at that fact and going, oh, I see, oh? Extremely few of you. So wake up time now. Continuing, goes on to state here, this, yes, startling statement seems to imply that the very nature of our obligations and the very nature of our relationship with the divine itself will undergo a profound transformation in the, how that's read, world to come / messianic age, which starts when Mashiach comes. However, it goes on to state, it is crucial to understand these teachings in their proper context and to avoid a simplistic or literal interpretation. Hasidic thought emphasizes that the essence of the commandments and their spiritual significance will not be nullified. Exactly right. Correct again. That's fully true. Good. Yes, absolutely right. In fact, it is not the spiritual essence of the commandments that will be nullified, but rather they'll be elevated because the form that you all have been addicted to is the thing that will fall away finally. You need somebody there to pat you on the back and say, yes, it's supposed to be this way now. We get to give ourselves permission to understand what the true essence is? Yeah. And I'll share in just a moment what this means, and a good analogy, I think. Proceeding, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, of course, Schneerson, the Rebbe, explains that in the world to come, the commandments will be fulfilled in a, what? Holy spiritual manner. Holy spiritual doesn't mean partially spiritual and still partially doing the lip service or making the form wise. It means you're completely abandoning the form of the commandments. Get it? As the spiritual world, as the physical world will have been refined by that point. Oh, now because we learned how to do something in the substance becomes a new law, not the old. The old form was just the training wheels on the bicycle. See, don't get it confused. When we're starting to learn to ride the bike, we put training wheels on to teach us not how to ride a bike through balance, which is a substantive essence of riding a bike and staying on a bike that's rolling live. No, we're first taught for the initial period, which corresponds to the first 6,000 years of our time on Earth here, that you're allowed to keep, that the purpose of riding the bike is to keep up within this angle zone and block by force and rolling rigid structure that you don't go past this angle here. Alright? And now, don't get it mixed up. Your time flopping around on training wheels for 6,000 years is not you riding a bike correctly, because you haven't learned balance. But once you learn balance, then you're not supposed to ride with training wheels anymore. Then it hinders you to keep riding with training wheels. Don't do it lest you even run the risk of what? Conflating that you think riding a bike is staying between, 65 and 100 and something 5 degrees of angle up. No, riding a bike is balance, honey. It means if you really know how to ride, you understand that you could have a much steeper angle than what a training wheel angle would allow for, and you're still balanced, and you can still you riding a bike correctly. And moreover, oftentimes you can still be upright, but you're not balanced, and you're going to tip over and fall anyway. So don't mix up your form and your substance, but it's meant to go this way, one way, other way. Training wheels, true balance. Same thing. This world that's about to end now is the training wheel zone about to end. The Torah you've had now is your training wheel system. Get it out now. That's what King Solomon, you were told he was the wisest of all time, so that you could have it set in perspective that every force much smarter than any of you already told you that the current Torah is Chevel. Wake up, blindos. So obvious. Proceeding now. It goes on to state, in this sense, that is, the external obligations of the commandments will give way, in fact, completely, to a deeper, more intimate expression of our connection with the future. So some Moshiach is going to come out and start telling people with truly great, amazing insight how to come into actual substantive balance, true essence with connection with God, and do this by moving further away from the form that we got used to with Torah. Torah, it's designed that way. The trick's in the wording itself, because it was named Torah. We could have given it a title, like a name of a book. It didn't get a name. It's called teaching, so that you can swap it out later and still call it a teaching, and it's a new, different teaching. It's all a trick. Wake up. A good trick. Amazing. Let's proceed. Goes on to state, furthermore, the Hasidic master Rabbi Zalman of Liadi, in his work Torah Or, teaches that the ultimate purpose of the commandments is to, all right, again, it's to fulfill a function that comes to completion once the function's fulfilled. Oh, duh. It's to draw down the infinite light of the divine into the world. That is a process which reaches its culmination upon the coming of the Messianic age. Then it's different zone, different covenants. We know this already. Proceeding from this perspective, it goes on to state the end of time. Yeah, we know that. The apparent cessation of eternal obligations. You got it there again. All the hints from every angle are supporting this too. It's not even, there's no escape almost if you can see correctly. The apparent cessation of eternal obligations may represent not a negation, of course, that's the irony too, but a fulfillment, as the world becomes suffused with the divine presence and the purpose of creation is realized. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. You're doing it right. You're balancing. Get those things off you now. Proceeding. Goes on to state, ultimately, the precise nature of our spiritual obligations and the transformation of the commandments, even, yes. Oh, but it's the halacha. But the halacha will be different. You're not getting it yet? Ooh, we're not allowed to think that. Yeah, because the form tells you not to think it. The very thing that we're here to change for the new age. It'll lube that grease hole up because it's a new way. Get in that tunnel now. States here, ultimately, the precise nature of our spiritual obligations of the transformation of the commandments in the Messianic age remain a mystery, one that we can only glimpse through the lens of our current understanding, as limiting as that can very assuredly very often be. Goes on to state, as the prophet Jeremiah, however, foretells, but this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says the Lord. Oh, another indication that it's a change of a covenant. Right. The law will be in their minds. It's written in their hearts or on their hearts inside, because it's a different route and mode of living. That's the key thing. Continuing. Goes on to state, as we contemplate those profound questions, now let us focus on the eternal essence of the commandments. That's right, the essence and the thing that they're designed to cultivate in turn, not the mere worshipping of the commandments themselves for their own sake. But there's an addiction cult to that now. It was fit for now. You can't often learn to ride a bike successfully without perfecting the fact that I stay within these precise bounds and it never goes further, but I must always be in between them, and no. It just doesn't work for the real ultimate point. Proceeding. Let's focus on the eternal essence of the commandments and their ability to connect us with the divine in the here and now, by dedicating ourselves to the study and fulfillment of the Torah's teachings as they are now, or rather, as their essence always, in fact, yes, shall be, through all the different paradigms. we act as it's refined to. And there's going to be a quantum aspect of that it's going to be made clear very soon. It goes on to state, by dedicating ourselves to that, we actively do participate in the process of drawing down that infinite light and hastening the arrival of the Messianic era, when the ultimate meaning of our eternal obligations will be revealed in all their glory. And we have even more here. For AI states in follow-up, your question delves into the very essence of the Messianic paradigm and into the profound transformation that the coming of Moshiach will bring about in our understanding of and experience of Torah and Mitzvot. The traditional view, as expressed in various Talmudic and Midrashic sources, does indeed emphasize the role of Moshiach as a leader who will bring about a more complete and widespread observance of the Torah and its commandments. That's what we understand, and we, on the surface level, we take that as a literal thing at the level of form, like, oh, that Torah, that book, these lines, these things. He'll be the no, but that's what you think. Proceeding. Even though you shouldn't think it, because other places say, no, you should know enough to know that that's not going to be what it is. But it's funny how so many people get tricked still. I don't get it. I don't get lack of insight, people. How are you possible? Let's proceed. You really do need Moshiach. Because if you believed yourselves, it would never happen properly. Sorry to say. Just the way it is. Goes on to state regarding Moshiach that he will be a leader who will bring about a more complete and widespread observance of the Torah and its commandments. That's right. Proceeding, the Talmud states, the son of David, that is Moshiach, HaMelech, will not come until all the souls in the body have been depleted. This has been, one interpretation of this has been that Moshiach may arrive when the Jewish people have collectively fulfilled the totality of the commandments. And perhaps again, is it the form? Is it the substance? We'll see. Proceeding for now, however, as you astutely point out, the deeper teachings of Hasidic thought and the insights gleaned from the words of King Solomon suggest a more nuanced and profound understanding of the Torah. What is Torah? It won't even mean that book anymore. Torah will mean the literal core meaning. Torah will just be teaching. Follow teaching. Whose teaching? Well, before it was Moshe's teaching. Then it will be Moshiach's teaching. In different form, but they're both teachings. I remember God said, you're bound to Torah. Yes, you're bound to teaching. And the form that the teaching takes place, that's subject to change. Because again, it's about teaching being teaching. And when teaching is correct, then follow the teaching. Therefore, thus, follow Torah. It's all so perfect when you wake up to it. You can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Proceeding. It goes on to state here that in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon does in fact declare, vanity of vanities, that's Hevel, says Kohelet, vanity of vanities. In fact, King Solomon is quoted saying, all is vanity. And he's not talking about everything, he's talking about everything, including, most notably, he's talking about the Torah itself. Goes on to state, the Hasidic master, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Lubavitch, known as the Tzemach Tzedek, interprets this verse to mean that even the Torah and its commandments, says the Rebbe, as we know them in our current reality, yeah, that book, they are but a breath compared to what the ultimate revelation of the divine wisdom in the Messianic age will be. Go on here to state that this suggests that the Torah and Mitzvot, even as they're codified in the formalized book, that's just the glimmer of the infinite divine light that will be revealed in the future. And thank goodness for the oral tradition that's passed that down properly, because it's true. Continuing, the Zohar even hints at this idea further too when it states, in the future, the hidden mysteries of the Torah will be revealed, and all will know the secrets of the Holy One, blessed be He. Oh, side note, you mean all will just simply know and understand what balance is and how to keep it instinctively? Oh, right. That all makes sense. Moreover, it goes on to state the Midrash teaches that in the Messianic era, there you have it outright. A new replacement Torah in essence, but truly a new Torah otherwise it's just the same. New form for sure will come forth from me. Why would God issue new Torah? If the old one is complete, there wouldn't be a need for a new one. But you already promised a new one that gives you hints about where the old one belongs. That's why time has to be told unto you that it ends. That's how profound your relationship with the old framework needs to be severed. But beautifully, severed seamlessly into the new paradigm. And by proper route, of course. Goes on to say here, this enigmatic statement, yes, it has been interpreted by Hasidic masters to mean that the inner dimension of the Torah, the Hasidus, is very essence and soul. That is what will be revealed by Moshiach, transcending thereby the limitations of the formalized book as we know it today. A good book and extremely the most important book of all time. But more is to come. Goes on here further now to state that in light of these teachings now, it seems plausible and perhaps even likely that the role of Moshiach will not be limited to the enforcement of the Torah and Mitzvot that they are in their current form. But rather it will involve, Moshiach will simply be involved in something different. He'll be involved in the revelation of the higher, more essential dimension of the divine wisdom. Oh, look out for that, guys. Preceding Moshiach as the ultimate teacher and spiritual guide will give teaching. That's read teaching in the sense of unveiling the innermost secrets and mysteries of the divine. Bingo. Guiding humanity to a more direct and intimate connection with the infinite light of the Creator, the whole point of everything to begin with. Preceding this idea is further, in fact, supported by the Hasidic concept of the internalization of the externalities, which teaches that the ultimate purpose of the commandments, again, that's right, to transform the physical world and to reveal the divine essence within it. So it's like preparing for Shabbos. The point of preparing for Shabbos isn't to stay in a work mode of being better at preparing for Shabbos. You're not working your way through Shabbos because you're working so hard to prepare for Shabbos. Your work mode is in stark contrast to the rest you're taking on. It's the same thing with following the Torah that you understand today. You're working at following to do the mitzvot. That's your work. The purpose of that is to get to the place that's the exact opposite of that. Let that blow your mind. Who's told you that before? Proceeding. In the Messianic era, the external observance of the mitzvot will give way. Give way again means completely to a deeper, more spiritual connection with their inner meaning and their inner ultimate purpose. Ultimately, the paradigm of Moshiach, as understood through the lens of Hasidic thought, is indeed one of substance over form, of course, of the revelation of the inner essence of the Torah and the divine wisdom that lies beyond the limitations of our current understanding. As we await the coming of Moshiach and the ultimate redemption, let us strive to connect with the deeper dimensions of the Torah and Mitzvot, preparing ourselves for the revelations yet to come.